All right, so we have the first recording. We have it recording now. Sorry, guys. And I am trying to find the, oh, got it. Sharing my desktop. So, talking about social media. So, I really wanted to cater this around being unique and finding your own unique strategy within social media, because there are tons of different ways to do social media, and having it your own way, in your unique way, will attract your ideal clients, which we'll talk about, and being able to grow your business and grow your reach on social media. So I want to start off kind of how we do in the Beachbody meetings, is kind of start off with like a reflection on what you want to go into with intention within your social media profiles. So I put like some questions here just to kind of frame it in a certain way. So what are you currently struggling with social media? And then what is your intention with social media, whether that be to get more sales, that can be an intention, or just show up authentically can be your intention. Whatever that is, then you can start to create a strategy around that so that it's unique to you and you're creating goals with intention with social media, and not just throwing things out there because you think you have to or something like that. Like, you're actually being intentional and then creating a strategy around that. So I'm going to turn off my sound and give us a few moments to do that. And then also, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just feel free to put them in the chat as we go. Okay, I think everybody talked about what they're struggling with and what your intentions are. A lot of it's engagement, being consistent. What I put as my current struggle is creating, similar to Danny, is creating consistent content and flow, and suffering from burnout when you're constantly at the go, 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 and you don't create a process that works for you. And yeah, so that's really what I'm struggling with right now too. And then my intention is to up my engagement, and we're going to talk about that because Naomi brought that up in our little DM group about why engagement has been going so low. So we're going to talk about that too. And then just a little bit about me. So I was doing social media as my full-time job before I started to take the leap and create my own freelance social media marketing business. So I work with a few clients now on helping them optimize their social media. And I do the same with my own personal account. So I've tested out a lot of different strategies for my own personal account, and I'm doing certain things with clients right now. So that's a little bit about me. Because we were so rushed, I totally missed that part, kind of introducing me in this part of the meeting. And then now we want to talk about the trends. So as you probably have seen, IG likes is gone. You can't see how many, you can when you click on others and you can count them, but it's not showing up as a number anymore, which is huge for the influencer marketing scene. But honestly, I don't think it's going to affect it too much because you can always use other websites to figure out how their engagement rate is still is still working and stuff like that, which I'm going to talk about too, so that you guys can find that out with your own accounts and see your engagement rates. And then you might have seen certain bots appear on your social profiles, like whether that's answering polls or answering questions. And before, it was happening a lot with story views. You'd see people with thousands and thousands of followers, kind of like micro influencers or large influencers, that were viewing your stories, and you're like, wait, they're not following me. How are they seeing my story? Like, those were bots. And then engagement went down a lot because Instagram is catching up with these bots. And now I'm noticing it even with the polls, and if you put a question engagement in your stories, that's going down. Like, I'm not seeing that anymore. So Instagram is always like catching up on these automation tools that people are creating, because they're third-party apps or websites that people are using in order to cheat the system and get more engagement and be seen on other people's profiles, so that you click on them and then you're like, oh, who's this person? Oh, I like them, I'll follow them. It's kind of like a trick to get more followers, to get more engagement on their profiles. But that's going away, and I don't recommend using bots at all. And then you were talking about the engagement rates, so that kind of goes into that, why engagement rates have been going down, because those bots are disappearing. But then also the Instagram algorithm is changing. And if you're not engaging with your current followers or your current audience, ideal audience, then Instagram is going to see that, and you're not going to get as much reach of your account to them. So you just want to keep up that consistent engagement. And I usually do this by just spending, like, kind of what we do with the Success Club tracker, if you follow that, like reaching out to your ideal clients, and making sure you're engaging authentically with who you want to attract for your Beachbody business. You kind of want to do the same thing with engagement, and engaging with your followers or people that follow you. And that can just mean taking 10-15 minutes to go through your followers and like and comment on their stuff, so that they're going to see you in the future. And I also do this by following hashtags. So you can search a hashtag and you can follow it. So when people use it, it'll show up in your feed. And I'll follow certain hashtags that relate to the ideal person that I want to attract. And so then when it pops up in my feed, instead of constantly searching it, it'll pop up in my feed as I'm scrolling, and then I'll just like and comment as I would on a friend's post or something like that. And then this is all about creating your unique strategy. So we're going to talk about these 4 things: ideal client and niche, which we talk about a lot. So I'm not going to go super in depth with it, because with ideal client and niche, we're always kind of touching on that with Beachbody and how we're going to attract that ideal person using social media. And then content and what that means. Optimization, so how you can optimize your social media account, and then statistics, because trying something just like we do with how we approach other people with our Beachbody offers, like we always want to switch up our strategies and use statistics to see how our current strategy is doing. And if it's not, we can switch it up. So your ideal client, AKA who you're helping and what problem you're solving. So this kind of goes back to niche. They're kind of very interchangeable. So we're gonna do like a little reflection, and a lot of you know who this person is already, but maybe you haven't considered some of these other questions, like even getting to the details of when you're doing a visualization and you're really taking in all of those 5 senses and making them into your ideal client. So if you were to write down your ideal client on a sheet of paper or see them right in front of you, what would you be imagining? Would they be a super bubbly person? Would they be kind of reserved? And I usually like to use the example of myself, like 3, 4, even 5 years ago, where I was doing all of this inner work on myself, and I've gotten to this point, and now that ideal person that is still kind of myself 5 years ago, how I know I can help them because I've been through what they've been through. So I kind of paint a picture of who they are. And that person is somewhat reserved. They are not fully expressing themselves. They haven't even touched the personal development world. They don't know what that is. They're kind of like, this is, I guess, for my like challenger who I want to like invite to my challenge groups and who I know I can help. They're not super confident in their body. They want to change that, but they don't know how, sort of thing. And you could even get down to the nitty gritty of who your ideal challenger is, and then who you want on your team as a coach. So I have 2 different people for that. I think most of you guys do too, and who you're attracting in that. And when you're talking to people, you notice they would be a really good coach, or, oh, I can definitely help them in my challenge group, that sort of thing. And then we can talk about that at the end of when we're doing strategy. So don't feel free, you don't have to put it into the chat right now. We'll kind of talk it out at the end when we're kind of brainstorming. And then niche. So I kind of define my niche as that I help statement. So how you're helping them and who you're helping. And I always put this, I have this right in my bio, so that when people come across my social media bio, they see exactly who I help and how I help them. And then going a little bit more in depth with your niche, pain points is brought up a lot in like selling psychology. And this is also something you want to portray on your social media. So in like one of my pain points is that I was fired from my job as a lab technician, and that kind of woke me up that I wanted to do more and I wanted to work for myself. hence why Beachbody coaching and starting your own business is what I want to portray to my ideal client. Like, that kind of woke me up to, I'm meant for more. And that's kind of one of my pain points. Like, if you've ever been fired from your job, or if you ever lost your job, or you left your job, which can still be very painful in its own way. So I talk about that specific pain point a lot, and I frame it in different ways. I don't always say, not every third post in my social media is I was fired or something like that. But I structure it in different ways to go about how you can build your own business, how you could build your own life. And I would keep it to 3 main pain points so that you're not going too far off from how you create content. Because posting a picture of your dog is really cute, but how does it help your business, sort of thing? So I kind of use those pain points as a structure for how I create my posts. And then the last part is your call to action. So we already know this in Beachbody and with Success Club Tracker, is using the call to action in a post or in a story so that people can learn how to actually buy into what you're offering, how you can solve their problem. And I tend to talk a little fast, so if I'm going too fast, feel free to slow me down. And then now we're getting into the content. So this is really where I'm gonna even take my own advice. So I if you ever follow the minimalists, I kind of coined their term, or kind of added it in here because I really love it. They hate calling content because then it sounds like something obscure that Kim Kardashian posts or something like that. It doesn't sound very meaningful when you say content. So I like to say, from the minimalists, meaningful creation. So you want it to have intention, you want it to be creative and really show who you are as a person as well, and throw in something that really relates to you. And it doesn't have to be some obscure phrase like, we create our own reality, because we see that all the time in quotes and stuff like that. But how does it bring it home for you as an individual? Because people want to buy from a human. So different ways of creating content, through posts, through stories, through video, and that can be live video, or using the video feature on stories, and then copy, which is just a fancy word for captions or blog posts. And then I kind of have some fun questions that I kind of thought of when you're thinking about creating content and scheduling and what kind of content, sort of thing. So a question that comes up a lot is, how often should I post and when should I post? How often is, I set a impossible goal of trying to post every single day, and then I just realized that is really not working for me, because one, I'm losing ideas for posts, and then I'm getting burnt out because of it. And so that really put down my creative flow. I was losing ideas, even when I have a certain structure that I go off of. So now I'm limiting it to 3 to 4 times a week. And I think 3 times a week is a great amount for people. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that you're not ruining your weekend trying to come up with a post. And then when you should post, if you have an Instagram business account, I definitely recommend having one, just because you can see the statistics of your Instagram. So you can go right in there and see when people are most active. But I'll be real, this is not super a great strategy anymore. I can't think of another word, because the algorithm has changed and nothing is in chronological order anymore, and it's based off an Instagram algorithm. So really, I would post at a time of day that is convenient for you, because your followers will see it no matter where your reach is going based on the algorithm, ultimately. People usually say like somewhere in the afternoon or somewhere in the evening, when people are either on their lunch and scrolling through social media, or in the evening when people are off work and are doing nothing and scrolling on Instagram. But really, I think you should just figure out a time that works for you and your schedule, and then work with that. And then as we go, feel free to post questions in there when you have questions about a certain slide outside of these other questions. And then people always ask me about third-party apps for scheduling. There is, and let me see if I can pull it up right now. You could go on Facebook Business, the Facebook Business page, and it will show you the apps that are approved by Facebook. And if they're approved by Facebook, they're approved by Instagram as well. So apps like Planoly, Later, Hootsuite, they're all approved, and it's mostly the big popular ones that most people are using. Preview is another one. I personally use Planoly. People have said that, oh, it hurts your it hurts your reach on Instagram if you're using another app. That's not true if it's approved by Facebook. So if you're using a very obscure one that's that most people have not heard of, I would probably just double check it, but all of those big ones are mostly approved. I would just not use third-party apps for, I think Danny was bringing it up with like deleting followers, anything like that. I would do that manually because a lot of those apps are not approved, and you're going to get flagged by Instagram if you're using them. And then what kind of content should I be posting? So we kind of touched on it a little bit before. Like posting about your dog is not going to help drive your business to get sales. So this is coined from Angie Lee, because she has so many great ideas, and if you don't follow her, you should, because she's a marketing genius. And she talks about the 3 E's for posting. So either entertaining your audience, educating your audience, or evoking action from your audience. So we do that a lot with call to actions in our posts in general, by evoking an action or having a call to action in our bio, where we tell our audience exactly what we want them to do in order for them to buy from us or get our freebie or whatever that is. In our case, it's opt in for our challenge group or schedule a call with us so that you can learn more. And then educational content, if you're really focused on fitness and health and the Beachbody aspect of it, and your niche is like health and fitness for moms. This is kind of going into Anna's field, but it's a very popular topic. Then you can post an educational video, a picture with some educational caption about working out for moms and how to find time to work out, or something like that, or like a how-to video on how your audience can learn more. And then entertaining. A lot of people follow certain people on Instagram because it's entertaining, because the pictures look cool, kind of going back to like attraction marketing, and we talk about that a lot within the Beachbody realm. I won't touch on that too much, but if you have questions about it, we can talk about that after too. Posting something that's entertaining, even if it's a funny video of you doing a workout, or you have like a fail video or something like that, like that relates to your niche, but is also entertaining to your audience. What is the best strategy? I kind of threw that one in there. The best strategy is the best one that works for you, ultimately, that you can keep up with personally, and that shows your uniqueness. And And then stories or posts, I say that stories are way more important for building your engagement, working with the Instagram algorithm, and then using all of those features that are on stories, like the question box, the poll box, the little like bar with the emoji on it, using hashtags in your stories, which we'll talk about hashtags, but a lot of people don't use hashtags in their stories. They'll use the one, but you can use the text feature and post a few hashtags in there because they're really not being used in stories. So that's an opportunity to use them, and then people can come to your page if they're not following you. So I always recommend, if you're not going to post for a while on your feed, at least just post on your stories, because I think that matters a lot more and your audience gets to know you a lot more personally. And then I say, if you have a picture of your cute dog, I would post it on your story, because people love seeing cute dogs on stories, but they might not want to see it in your feed all the time. And then how do I create engaging content? So I always, besides just the image or the video that you're posting, this goes back to like the creating copy. So that first line in your caption is the most important one. It is going to be the hook that draws the reader in. With any essay you've done in school, the first paragraph is always the most important to draw your reader in. It's the same thing with your captions. So if you're telling a story in your post, take the hook of that story or the most interesting part and just put it at the top. And then once people see like that shocking detail, they'll want to keep reading, and then they'll read your question, and then they'll want to engage with you. And then another way is always ask questions in your post, and not even just in your captions, but even if people comment on it, you can always reply with, "Oh, that's amazing. What did you think about this?" Or "What are you currently working on?" Or "What are your goals?" Like asking a question to get that engagement back from your audience. Even if they just posted like a couple emojis or something, you can, if you have interacted with them before, you can throw a question their way, and it just gets them thinking, and then they feel like they're noticed a lot more as well, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, this person's cool. Let me continue to follow their stuff." And even when I'm commenting on other people's posts as well, I'll sometimes ask them a question just to learn more. Maybe they're my ideal client and I really want to get their attention, and asking them a question is a great way for them to, "Oh, wow, that girl asked me a question. Let me click on her profile. Let me see what she's about." Oh, and the biz versus creator account. I personally haven't used the creator account, but I've watched a few tutorials about it from other social media strategists, and they voted against it because they thought it lowered their engagement even more. And then the features on there just weren't, I forgot which exact feature it was, but it really wasn't worth it for them. But I'm going to look into that more if you want to learn more about that. Vanessa Lau is who I follow, who created a video from that, and she's one of like my social media marketing gurus that I look to, and she really didn't like it. She switched back to a business account after a week. So that's my idea on that, and I haven't really, after seeing other reviews and seeing her review in particular, I didn't feel called to switch to it. I really use the business account mostly for statistics, and then you get to include a link in there as well. So, oh, Angie Lee. Oh, okay, someone already answered. All right, moving on. And then optimization. So how to get the most organic reach. And I threw ads in there because it is organic when you do an ad, but I'll talk about that a little bit more. So your bio and your header is really where you're going to get reach. And then also when people do come to your profile, they'll see your bio and they'll either choose to follow you or not. So in your header, if you don't already, you might have your name or you might have a few words in there. But I always recommend using a few keywords in there. If you're for Beachbody, you can do fitness coach, you can do wellness coach, or wellness and mindset. Having keywords in there that relate to what you're going to be talking about. And that's like a searchable kind of, it can be broad, it can be more niche, but you want it to be searchable. So wellness is often searched, social media is searched, coaching is a big one that's searched. So I have my name in there with like a cute little emoji, and then I have 2 keywords in there that relate to what I'm going to be talking about. And then your bio. So that's where I add stuff about my ideal client and my niche, and then I have my I help statement in there. I have mine relating to social media because I'm trying to, that's like one of my main focuses is building my social media marketing. And then I have links to my scheduling. And then I also have, so that link in there is kind of my call to action. So I have schedule a call with me in my bio so that people know exactly where they can get in touch with me and schedule a call with me if they want to learn more information. And then hashtags. So I do talk a lot about hashtags on my Instagram, but then there's different theories about whether you should be using like 7 to 8 hashtags or the max, which is 30. I say the max. That's like my personal opinion, but I would test it out for yourself to see if that really works for you. So I use 30 in all of my posts, and then I'll use a few of them in stories because that's 30 keywords that people can find you. So I did a lot of research. It depends how dedicated you are and how much research, but I would use more niche hashtags that only have like 10,000 or less views, maybe even a little, you can stretch a little bit to 50,000 and less uses, because using like those very broad hashtags like hashtag success, hashtag mindset, like those are used millions of times, and chances are your content is just going to be mixed in there. People aren't going to be able to find it because millions of people have used that hashtag. So I'd use more niche hashtags. Like I said, I use 30, and then I also have them in groups. So I did a very extensive research, which took 2 to 3 hours, but a lot of people don't have time to do that. So when you type in the hashtags on Instagram, it tells you how many people are using them. I would just use lower niche hashtags if you're not going to go super in depth with the research. But if you want to learn more about that, just shoot me a message. And I also have it on my Instagram highlights on IG tips on how you can do your hashtag groups. I understand that's not realistic for a lot of people because it takes a lot of time. And then ads. So I only wanted to add ads in there because this can be a great way and an affordable way. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on ads. You can easily spend $1 a day on an ad just to, it could be a 15-second video of you in a story just to get your message kind of out there. And then it generates more people to your page. So people do this with something smaller like building their email list if you guys are looking to create an email newsletter. Or just to get more people to your page and looking at your content. And then you can target ads to a certain demographic, so you can target it to that ideal client avatar that you have. And then statistics. So whenever we're talking about personal development, we're always trying to create a strategy that works for us. And when it's not working, you need to switch it up. So same with social media. When you're doing a strategy of any sort, you want to look at the statistics and see if it's actually working for you. And then if it's not, take what worked and leave what didn't and kind of switch it up. So tools that I use, like I said, I have the Instagram business account so that I can look at my statistics. And then I have Social Blade. Well, Social Blade is a website, so socialblade.com, and you can search anybody's username in the search bar, and it'll give you statistics about your page. So I have it right up here. Well, I did have it right up here, but let me go to it. Sorry, the Zoom bar is blocking my, oh, and then I have a virus on my computer. Sorry, you guys had to see that. Naomi's laughing at me. I troubleshoot my own viruses, but I've been super lazy and haven't done this one. So Social Blade just looks like this, and you can look it up for YouTube. We're just gonna do Instagram. So let's look up Angie Lee since I talked about her. So you can look directly at Angie Lee's page, and what I'm mainly looking for when I'm looking up anybody and when I'm looking at myself, I look at their engagement rate. So anything over 3 is really, really good. If you have over 3% engagement, you're in the top 10% or whatever it is for engagement on social profiles. Because you'll see someone like Kim Kardashian, we could look her up too if you're curious. They're not going to have as big of an engagement rate compared to what their following is. That's mainly what I'm looking for. And then you can also track like your followers, how many people are following you each day, how many people unfollowed you, all of that stuff. And Instagram business account gives you a rundown of this, but there are other websites that you can use to get even more detailed specific statistics, like Social Blade. That's my favorite one. And then you can also check out Influencer Marketing Hub. I use that one to look up engagement rate also. And then if you're ever looking for branded, you're looking for sponsors, which it's not that hard, even if you have under 1,000 followers, if you have a great engagement rate and you're looking for a small brand that you might want to partner with, Influencer Marketing Hub can tell you how much to charge for like a post. So I used that one like back in the day when I was trying to be a travel influencer and a yogi influencer, trying to get brand partnerships. And then search platforms, I only put this one in there because this is kind of relating to your niche and your offer. It's a little bit different with Beachbody, but for any of you who are looking to create a business outside of this, like coaching, life coaching, that sort of thing, you can use different search platforms like Google, like Quora, like Pinterest, to find out if your product that you're trying to sell is marketable or there is a market for it. So we already know there's a market for Beachbody, but I just wanted to throw that in there as an additional tool if you're looking to start a new business outside of this and create another source of income, because I think we can never hit the ceiling too high with our creativity. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on that this is ultimately what is unique to you. Your social media profile is you, and you're advertising yourself. So you'll attract those ideal clients to you just by being your authentic self and showing up. And I think when you look at social media in that way, it becomes more fun. It's less of a chore. It's less of how many times do I have to post. It's less of worrying that you didn't post, because you're a unique person and you should be flaunting that. And then feel free to chime in if you have any additional questions. I know people ask questions already on the content slide, but if you want to unmute yourself and ask something specific or some sort of strategy that you're working on, feel free to jump in, and then this is where we can all brainstorm. And was there anything that helped, that brought a little more insight into creating your unique social media strategy, or something you didn't know before? I know as Beachbody coaches, we often talk a lot about social media, since most of us use social media for our marketing and how we find our clients. So some of this might have been repetitive, but I hope you were able to get some value out of it. Okay. How often are you going out and taking pictures? Yeah, I think you don't need to have like a certain feed looking a certain way. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in my Capricorn energy. So I make my boyfriend take pictures of me ultimately. And so I don't post, I'm not out there taking photos every single day. I do reuse photos a lot. And especially when you have like certain transformation photos, or if you want to feature someone from your challenge group or something like that, I think you'll find a way to create that content. And it doesn't have to be pictures of yourself all the time. People post quotes. Quotes are always fun too, because people like to share those on their stories. But yeah, really whatever works for you in that. I know that wasn't the best answer, but, and then yeah, Naomi, we could talk about hashtag research too. Yeah, and I batch my photos as well. I'm not a person that takes photos every single day. Only on stories is when I'll take photos like really in the moment. But if I put makeup on that day and I look nice, I'll take a few photos, keep them in the content box so that I could pull from later. And then hashtag research. Yeah, we can talk more about that at another time. Does anybody else want to know about that? I can touch on it real quick, so it's not super overwhelming. Naomi's killing it with the color theme. And then I don't want anybody to feel anxious, because social media definitely made me anxious in the beginning when I was trying to post all the time. So I know that overwhelms a lot of people, but if you're posting when it feels right to you, I would just go with that feeling. All right. Does anyone have any last minute questions, concerns, want to share what they're working on?
I was just going to chime in real quick to echo on that, going back to our call 2 weeks ago about human design.
Mhm.
Um, I just wrapped a session right before this with my go-to human design expert, and she was talking more about manifesting based on your type, and it really is similar to inviting based on your type. So I know for me as a projector, which I think you are as well, Rachel, maybe.
No, I'm a manifesting
Okay.
generator.
Um, I think that is something that could maybe be helpful for people when you're looking at what your content is. So, like for me as a projector, um, the best action for me to take to manifest what I'm trying to call in is to share my story. So I just keep doing it as much as possible that feels good. For other types, it's about responding to what is out there. So your content might be more like, I'm getting a lot of questions about X, or talking to the pain points of people. Um, so I don't know if that's helpful for people when it comes to content, but I just got off that session and I found it really insightful.
Yeah, I know we have a few projectors and a lot of manifesting generators and generators, which are kind of very similar in the way they work. Yeah. All right. If nobody has any other questions, we went a little bit over time, and I apologize for being late again and if I was talking too fast or anything like that. But first meeting, I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, looking forward to seeing all of your social media magic happening and how you create your uniqueness in your social media. All right. Have a good night, guys. Oh, I have to stop this, don't I? All right, you guys can exit and I'll figure out this Zoom stuff.